Above the Pacific Ocean, a superstorm turns the sea into a vast field of power. Deeper inside the Pacific Reef, the storm turns the coral world into a fortress of survival.
From above, the storm appears almost alive, shaping the surface of the ocean with relentless force. For the smallest fish, every coral branch becomes a wall against the moving sea. At the surface of the Pacific, wind, rain, and waves merge into one moving body. Yet beneath this chaos, another world is waiting in the sea below.
The storm reaches the bottom as moving sand, and the seafloor becomes a place of constant change.
The superstorm rules the surface, but the ocean beneath it is beginning to respond. To understand this storm, we must follow it below the waves.
When the Pacific grows restless, the strongest shelter is often found beneath the reef itself.
Below the storm, the sea is still restless, filled with noise, motion, and pressure.
The same storm that threatens the reef also sends food through its hidden corridors.
The superstorm above reshapes the first layers of the ocean, stirring everything in its reach. Inside the storm-dark reef, the old balance of hunter and hidden prey continues. Even before the reef appears, life in the Pacific Ocean is already adapting to the force above. Beneath the raging surface, the hidden life of the Pacific is just beginning to come into view. This reef is not only surviving the Pacific storm, it is using every shape, shelter, and current to stay alive. Farther below the storm, the Pacific begins to reveal the lives that endure beneath the violence above. Within the coral, the smallest spaces become the strongest protection. The reef is not a single shelter, but thousands of shelters joined together by the sea. The ocean floor is not untouched by the storm. It feels the force as current, pressure, and shifting light. When the storm presses down from above, even the smallest fish know where safety begins. Some fish survive the moving water by holding still in the right place. Every surge from above sends another signal through the reef. The reef becomes a fortress, and every crevice in the sea becomes a refuge.
On the seafloor, survival can mean staying low, staying still, and letting the storm pass overhead.
In the sand, the storm turns every open doorway into a risk. Beneath the superstorm, even sight becomes uncertain. Each species answers the storm in its own way, anchoring, hiding, or yielding to the current. The storm can be felt as a rhythm in the water, and the reef responds to every shift. Not every survivor moves quickly. Some endure by holding their place.
Even in the middle of a superstorm, the ocean still contains places of relative calm.
Even fragile forms can become shelter when the ocean begins to move with force.
Some creatures do not flee the storm. They wait inside the reef and let the sea bring the world to them.
Behind the moving coral, the reef hides quiet rooms for those small enough to enter. Below the storming Pacific, a hidden world is already adapting, enduring, and waiting for the next surge from above. The coral reef beneath the Pacific storm is a maze of pressure, shelter, and living response.
Beneath the Pacific storm, The reef becomes a shelter shaped by pressure, current, and instinct.
Inside this reef maze, every creature depends on the shape of the ocean around it.
When the water grows stronger, the reef becomes a shelter of narrow spaces.
Every branch of coral becomes a narrow refuge when the ocean above is in chaos.
The reef wall becomes a living shield against the restless sea.
In rough water, even a short crossing becomes a decision. On the seafloor, the safest creature may be the one that almost disappears. The storm changes the seafloor, but some lives survive by becoming almost invisible. Under the storm, every open crossing becomes a test of timing. For some creatures beneath the waves, stillness is the strongest defense. The hidden animals of the reef survive the storm by holding to the ocean's strongest edges. The storm turns the coral chamber into both a hiding place and a feeding ground. The reef does not fight every force. It bends, absorbs, and waits.
Even during the storm, the small services of the reef continue in hidden corners.
Even a storm can carry food through the sea, turning danger into opportunity. The storm changes the water, but the ancient balance of the reef remains. In the shelter of the reef, hunters and hunted share the same storm. Every shelter in the reef belongs to a larger system of pressure, hunger, and protection.
Below the superstorm, the Pacific is not silent. It is a living world responding to pressure from above.
The reef has become a living refuge, but the Pacific storm is still pushing deeper through the sea.
The Pacific storm is still reaching downward, turning every coral corridor into a test of survival. The storm above continues to press into the sea, and every hidden life below must answer. Inside the reef, the smallest spaces become the safest rooms in the ocean. In the smallest openings of the ocean floor, survival is measured in seconds. Tiny creatures beneath the waves read the current through touch before they dare to move. The reef is built from countless hiding places, each one shaped by the sea. Beneath the storm, the ocean floor opens and closes like a restless, hidden world. When the water changes, cooperation becomes another form of shelter. The young lives of the reef gather tightly when the sea becomes unpredictable. When the sea becomes unstable, even the smallest partnership must work faster. The reef holds many kinds of strength, from gripping arms to hidden claws.
Some creatures survive the storm by becoming part of the reef itself.
In rough water, disguise is not only a trick, it is a way to endure. The storm turns danger into food, but only for those quick enough to risk the open sea. Even the moving corals become shelter when the storm pushes through the sea. In the storm-dark reef, camouflage becomes a silent form of patience. The storm changes the rhythm of the reef, but the ancient tension between hunter and hidden prey remains. The reef guides them through the storm, one protected passage at a time. Beneath the Pacific Superstorm, every hidden creature becomes part of one living response. Beneath the Pacific Superstorm, the coral reef survives as one connected refuge of movement, pressure, and life. Below the Pacific Superstorm, the sea becomes a test of shelter, instinct, and endurance. Inside the reef, survival is shared by every creature that can find shelter from the moving sea. In unstable water, moving together becomes the safest shape in the ocean.
The storm makes the open water dangerous, and the reef answers with hidden rooms.
What looks like a wall is really a crowded world holding itself against the current. The storm changes the water, and every fish answers with motion. For larger animals, the same current that threatens the small can become a path through the sea. On the storm-dark seafloor, hiding can mean becoming part of the sand. The ocean covers some lives so completely that survival becomes almost invisible. Near the seafloor, survival depends less on speed and more on holding ground. Even larger, calmer lives of the Pacific choose shelter when the sea above becomes violent. Beneath the ledge, many small lives wait together while the storm moves above them. The storm carries food through the reef, but every meal must be taken between pulses of danger. The storm brings danger, but it also carries food through the hidden corridors of the sea. In the shadowed reef, the octopus survives by reading the sea through touch. Every opportunity beneath the storm lasts only until the next surge arrives. The reef holds both refuge and danger, and the storm brings them closer together. Inside the reef, the storm is measured through pressure, shadow, and the behavior of every neighbor. Beneath the raging Pacific, every creature is connected by the same force moving through the sea. Under the Pacific Superstorm, the reef becomes one living refuge, where every hidden life depends on the sea around it. The Pacific Reef holds its life close, turning every surface into protection beneath the storm. Below the storm, the Pacific Ocean is not broken, it is alive, adjusting with every pulse of the sea. The reef becomes a sanctuary, holding fragile lives against the force above. The smallest fish survive by trusting the narrow architecture of the reef. Inside the reef wall, the sea hides entire lives smaller than a shadow. For the youngest lives in the ocean, survival begins inside the smallest spaces. The seafloor changes with every pulse, hiding and revealing its smallest doors. Predator and prey share the same shelter when the sea becomes stronger than either of them. The storm writes its force through the water, and the reef answers with movement. In the smallest partnerships of the ocean, warning and work become survival. Beneath the coral ledge, different lives share one shelter against the moving sea. Even beneath a superstorm, the ocean hides quiet spaces where life can wait. Some lives survive by moving with the sea, and others survive by becoming almost invisible. The storm brings food through the reef, but every brief meal comes with risk. This hidden world beneath the Pacific storm is built from instinct, shelter, and connection. The octopus reads the storm through the stone, waiting for the sea to loosen its grip. Even in the storm, the reef keeps its ancient balance between patience and escape. Above, the storm still rules the waves. Below, the ocean's hidden life continues to endure. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the reef survives because every hidden life has found a place within the sea. This is only the first descent beneath the Pacific superstorm. Deeper in the reef, every creature must find its place against the pressure of the sea.
The first descent continues, and the Pacific Ocean reveals that survival beneath a storm is never still.
Deeper inside the Pacific Reef, shelter is not one place, but a whole living structure shaped by the sea. For the smallest fish, the reef becomes a maze designed for survival. Far below the waves, even light from the storm becomes part of the reef's warning system. The storm reaches downward not as wind, but as pressure, current, and moving sand. Every surface of the reef holds smaller lives, waiting for the sea to calm. The sand beneath the storm is never still. It hides and reveals life with every passing current. In the smallest homes of the sea, partnership can become the difference between danger and survival. Every hidden creature has its own answer to the same force moving through the ocean. In this unstable sea, even the smallest home must be repaired against the storm. Under the ledge, the reef becomes a shared shelter for many different kinds of life. Under the storm, the distance between shelters becomes a challenge measured in heartbeats. The storm pushes food through the reef, and every hidden creature must decide when to risk the open water. The octopus survives by becoming part of the reef while the storm passes above.
The same current that threatens the reef also carries food through its hidden passages.
In the darkness of the reef, the octopus becomes both witness and survivor. Beneath the Pacific storm, no life stands alone. Every creature is tied to the shape of the sea around it. The storm may disturb the water, but the reef still holds its old rules of waiting and distance. The first descent has only opened the storm's hidden world. Deeper in the reef, the Pacific will reveal how life endures under pressure.
Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the coral terrace becomes one living refuge, where every hidden life depends on every shape around it.
The Pacific storm keeps pushing through the reef, and every passage becomes a place of decision. Deeper inside the Pacific Reef, the storm becomes a hidden pressure moving through every passage of the sea. Inside the coral, the youngest lives wait for the moving sea to give them a safer moment. The ocean floor changes moment by moment, reshaped by a storm that never touches it directly. The reef wall holds life by giving each creature a different grip on survival. For the smallest reef walkers, survival means holding fast to anything the sea cannot easily move.
The reef bends and holds at the same time, giving each creature a different way to endure.
Some lives survive the storm by allowing the sea to hide them completely. Stillness becomes a language beneath the storm. In disturbed water, the safest path is often the one closest to the reef. Under the coral ledge, many forms of life share one small pocket of safety. Inside the reef, patience becomes another form of strength. Food moves through the storm, but only the quick and cautious can reach it. The octopus answers the storm not by fleeing, but by becoming part of the seafloor. The octopus waits with the patience of the reef itself. Even in danger, the storm delivers food, and the reef must seize each brief chance. Even as the storm moves through the sea, the reef keeps its ancient tension alive. Beneath the Pacific storm, every creature survives by using the reef in its own way. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the reef survives as a connected world of shelter, hunger, pressure, and patience.
The first descent moves deeper still, toward the places where the Pacific hides its strongest survivors.
Here, beneath the storm, the Pacific Ocean hides a calmer chamber where life gathers against the pressure. The Pacific storm keeps pressing through the reef, and the sea turns every corridor into a living test. Inside the smallest branches, fragile lives find shelter from a force far larger than themselves. Even when the storm weakens below, the seafloor still carries the memory of its force. The reef wall is crowded with lives that survive by holding close to the sea's strongest edges. In the smallest homes of the ocean, survival is built through warning, work, and trust. The young fish of the reef turn coral into shelter, waiting for the sea above to calm. The sand beneath the storm is always changing, hiding the smallest doors almost as soon as they appear. Some creatures survive the Pacific storm not by speed, but by patience and contact with the reef. In this unstable sea, even a tiny home must be defended again and again. Under the ledge, the reef becomes a shared shelter for lives that would never gather in calm water. Inside the storm-dark reef, patience and shelter become as powerful as movement. The storm brings food through the reef, but every chance to feed is surrounded by danger. The octopus moves only when the current allows, reading the storm through every touch. The octopus survives by reading every pulse of the sea through the stone beneath it. The storm brings risk into the sea, but it also sends food through every protected hollow.
Within the same shelter, the reef holds fear, patience, hunger, and protection.
Beneath the Pacific superstorm, every creature becomes part of one living system shaped by the sea. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the reef endures because every hidden life has found a way to belong to the moving sea.
The first descent continues, and the Pacific leads us from shelter into another hidden passage beneath the storm.
The Pacific Reef continues to hold its life close as the storm keeps pressing through the sea.
Beyond the sheltered basin, the Pacific Ocean becomes restless again, forcing every creature to choose its path. For the smallest fish, the safest world is the one too narrow for danger to enter. Here, the storm is felt not as thunder, but as moving sand and shifting pressure. The reef wall becomes a crowded shelter, each small surface holding another life against the storm. For the smallest reef walkers, the sea becomes a force to hold against. The seafloor beneath the storm is never fixed. It changes with every breath of the ocean. In rough water, the school survives by becoming one shape moving through the sea. In the smallest shelter, teamwork becomes a defense against the moving sea. Under the ledge, many small lives share the same thin line of safety. Even under the storm, the old balance of the reef remains. The storm turns the reef into a place of sudden danger and sudden food. The octopus does not resist the Pacific storm. It becomes part of the reef until the sea allows movement again. The storm sends danger through the ocean, but it also carries food into hidden places. The octopus waits inside the reef, changing with the sea instead of fighting it. Inside the same reef, hunger and shelter wait side by side. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, every hidden life is connected by the same moving water.
Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the reef remains alive, because every hidden creature has found shelter inside the moving ocean.
The first descent continues, and deeper beneath the storm, the Pacific hides still more lives waiting in the dark.
The Pacific Reef keeps drawing its life inward, turning every chamber into protection beneath the storm.
In the storm-dark sea, camouflage becomes a quiet shield against both current and danger.
When the open sea becomes unstable, the smallest gaps in the reef become the safest world. The reef wall holds its secrets tightly, giving each small creature a place to endure. Some lives endure by letting the ocean cover them.
The reef becomes shelter, anchor, and warning system all at once.
Beneath the storm, even the sand becomes a moving shelter and a moving threat. The storm brings chaos into the sea, but within chaos, food appears. In this hidden corner of the ocean, survival is built through shared warning and careful work. Under the ledge, different lives share one shelter, because the moving sea leaves no room for pride. The safest path through the storm is the one written by the reef itself. Inside the rock, the octopus becomes another shadow of the Pacific Reef.
The octopus survives by becoming part of the reef until the sea gives permission to move.
Predators wait, prey hide, and the storm moves between them. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, every life is part of the same underwater struggle.
The first descent continues, and beyond the reef valley, the Pacific begins to reveal a deeper hidden world. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the coral chamber becomes one living refuge, holding every hidden life inside the moving ocean.
The storm changes the light, but life beneath it never stops. Every turn is answered by thousands, and the school becomes one moving body.
Beyond the reef, the Pacific opens into a larger world, where survival depends on movement.
In open water, safety is no longer a hiding place, but a shared direction. The deeper we follow the Pacific beneath the superstorm, the more its hidden greatness continues to unfold. Above them, the storm moves the surface. Below it, the fish move as one. Far below the storm, the Pacific is shaped not only by waves, but by rivers of water flowing inside the ocean itself. In the open Pacific, the storm hides danger until it moves. Every small movement spreads through thousands of lives, like a pulse through the ocean. A single change of direction can protect thousands of lives. The Pacific writes living geometry across the open water. Not every giant fights the storm. Some pass through it with ancient calm.
Beneath the moving school, The ray follows deeper currents of the storm cannot fully command.
The strongest travelers waste nothing, allowing the Pacific itself to carry them.
In the open sea, every creature reads the storm differently. Even the gentlest drifters become part of the great motion beneath the storm.
Far from the reef, the Pacific reveals predators that travel with the rhythm of the sea rather than the violence of the storm. The Pacific gathers giants not in one place, but across every depth.
The school becomes a floating sky beneath the storming sea.
The strongest hunters conserve energy, letting the ocean work with them instead of against them. And many hunters follow the same current, each searching without disturbing the balance of the sea.
The farther we descend beneath the Pacific, the quieter the storm becomes, yet the ocean grows even more powerful.
Even beneath a superstorm, light continues to guide the hidden world below.
Invisible life feeds the entire Pacific, one drifting current at a time. Thousands separate for a moment, only to become one once again. Every movement spreads instantly across the school, creating order from countless individual lives. Close to the bottom, larger wings carry life through currents that never stop moving. Different worlds share the same ocean, separated only by depth. Above the Pacific, the storm shapes the light. Below, the light reshapes the ocean. The Pacific reveals itself in layers, each filled with life responding to the same sea. Some giants travel not with force, but with extraordinary grace. Beyond these waters, even greater travelers of the Pacific are already approaching. The Pacific rewards patience, allowing the largest gentle giants to thrive on the smallest drifting life. Far from the reef, the Pacific becomes an endless highway of movement. Every depth of the Pacific carries its own travelers moving in opposite directions. Order survives because every individual responds to the same invisible current.
Even the softest creatures become part of the Pacific's immense design.
The Pacific Ocean is not one habitat, but countless living worlds stacked together beneath the storm.
The storm changes the light, but not the discipline of the sea. Beyond the last blue light, the Pacific still guards a world that few eyes have ever seen.
Power in the Pacific often arrives without speed or noise.
The Pacific now leaves the familiar world behind and begins its descent into silence.
Every powerful swimmer measures its strength against the sea instead of fighting it.
Even here, where the sea appears empty, life fills every current. Closer to the bottom, the rhythm of the storm becomes slower and deeper. Even in open water, larger creatures create quiet places for smaller lives.
The storm still exists above, but its voice grows quieter with every meter of depth.
The Pacific is never empty. Every layer carries another hidden community.
Hidden rivers inside the Pacific shape journeys that no surface wave can reveal. The deeper sea replaces speed with patience,
and light with quiet transparency. The deeper we travel into the Pacific, the more the storm reveals a world united by motion rather than fear. The smallest lights often guide the longest journeys beneath the Pacific. The Pacific Ocean becomes a living sky beneath the storm, filled with countless lives moving together. Life becomes less crowded, but no less extraordinary. Each individual follows simple instincts, yet together they create impossible beauty. What appears to be empty water is actually an endless rain feeding the deep Pacific. Ahead lies the threshold, where daylight gives way to another world. Above, the storm reshapes the light. Below, the ocean reshapes itself. Beyond this fading light, the Pacific keeps secrets that have waited millions of years to be seen. Some of the Pacific's greatest travelers appear almost like silent shadows beneath the living sea. Strength beneath the Pacific is measured by calm precision rather than speed. Here, the Pacific begins to leave the world of sunlight behind. The storm still exists above, but its power is now remembered only through the currents. Every giant in the Pacific carries its own small community. Invisible rivers continue their journey long after the surface has forgotten the storm. The Pacific Ocean is built in layers, each one alive with its own hidden rhythm. The deeper Pacific introduces life that seems almost made from light itself. Even the smallest drifting life continues the story of the Pacific. Together, thousands of small lives become one of the ocean's greatest wonders. With every meter downward, life becomes quieter, but never disappears. Beyond these endless waters, the greatest giants of the Pacific are waiting beneath the storm. The Pacific is shaped by currents hidden far below the reach of wind. Beneath the Pacific superstorm, the ocean's largest travelers move with a calm older than the waves. Some lives remain only as passing shadows until the deep sea chooses to reveal them. Even the storm above cannot hurry the deep rhythm of a giant. Around a giant, the Pacific seems to slow down and expand. Ahead lies the threshold, where the familiar ocean ends and the abyss begins. The largest life and the smallest drifting bodies belong to the same ocean current. The Pacific has guided us beyond the reach of sunlight. What waits below belongs to the oldest and most mysterious kingdom of the sea. The Pacific now reaches the quiet frontier between daylight and the deep unknown. Some giants of the Pacific are so vast they seem to belong to the sea itself. The storm commands the surface, but the deep Pacific keeps its own ancient order. Some of the ocean's longest travelers are not single animals, but entire living colonies. Together, the giants travel as if guided by memories carried through the sea. The deeper Pacific reveals beauty that seems almost impossible to notice from the surface. From surface chaos to deep calm, the Pacific holds many worlds at once. Light grows weaker, yet life continues to create its own quiet brilliance.
Every falling particle becomes part of the deep Pacific's endless cycle of life. One movement from a giant can ripple through countless smaller lives. The surface storm now feels like a distant memory, carried only by the ocean itself. The open Pacific beneath the storm is not ruled by one creature, but by the movement of all life together. Silence becomes the dominant voice as the Pacific prepares for the abyss. The Pacific Ocean beneath the storm is one connected living world, where every current carries countless lives. Invisible boundaries divide the Pacific more completely than any coastline. Not every giant beneath the Pacific storm is a hunter. Some travel quietly through clouds of life. The deepest travelers reveal themselves only for a moment before returning to darkness.
Even the largest travelers move with remarkable gentleness through the open sea.
The scale of the Pacific is best understood when a giant passes silently above.
The Pacific no longer feels like an ocean of waves, but an ocean of silence.
The Pacific holds giants that fly through water with the grace of birds. Every drifting particle carries the story of life deeper into the Pacific. The currents shape every journey, from the smallest fish to the largest wings. Some of the Pacific's most extraordinary lives exist only through perfect cooperation. The ocean creates patterns that no single creature could ever make alone. Listen. As sunlight disappears, delicate beauty becomes even more remarkable. Nothing in the Pacific truly stands still. Even silence continues to move. The world above still exists, but it no longer defines the ocean below. The Pacific is sculpted by rivers hidden inside the sea. The farther we descend, the more every living shape becomes a rare discovery. The deepest Pacific reveals itself only through brief glimpses and patient observation. Now the Pacific opens the door to the deepest realm, where life has evolved beyond the reach of the sun. The Pacific Ocean now reaches the threshold where sunlight surrenders completely to the deep sea. Even in apparent emptiness, the Pacific Ocean is constantly nourishing life. The strongest rivers of the Pacific Ocean are hidden beneath its surface. Some of the sea's most delicate creatures shine brightest where daylight almost disappears. Cooperation becomes one of the oldest survival strategies in the Pacific Ocean. The storm above has become only a memory carried by the sea.
The deeper the Pacific Ocean becomes, the more precious every living encounter feels.
The Pacific Ocean never reveals all of its inhabitants at once. Beyond this final darkness, the Pacific Ocean enters a kingdom illuminated not by the sun, but by life itself. For the first time, the Pacific Ocean is no longer illuminated by the sky above, but by the life within it. Everything that falls from the upper sea becomes the beginning of another world.
The deepest Pacific Ocean is shaped by currents that never meet the wind.
The storm above has finally disappeared, but the ocean continues its ancient journey.
The deepest ocean transforms fragile bodies into living constellations.
The Pacific Abyss resembles a universe where every falling particle supports unseen life.
Some giants of the deep move so slowly, they seem detached from time itself.
Even in darkness, the Pacific Ocean remains full of movement.
In the deep Pacific, communication is written with light rather than sound. Every flash of light carries meaning in the endless darkness. The deeper Pacific Ocean reveals a civilization of light hidden beneath the storm.
The Pacific Ocean becomes darker, yet life becomes even more extraordinary. Some of the Pacific's oldest legends begin with creatures that rarely meet the light.
The deep Pacific rewards patience with glimpses of remarkable life. Even the darkness of the Pacific Ocean is filled with gentle light.
Many deep-sea fish disappear by matching the light above them. The Pacific Ocean hides its greatest wonders inside perfect silence. Some deep-sea travelers appear almost unreal until they move. The Pacific Abyss creates beauty from darkness rather than sunlight.
Every light in the Pacific may belong to a creature we have never fully seen.
The Pacific Ocean has only begun revealing the astonishing life hidden beneath its deepest waters. Deeper still, the Pacific Ocean begins to reveal creatures shaped by darkness itself.
Some hunters in the deep Pacific survive by waiting in perfect stillness. In the abyss, patience can be as powerful as speed. Small lights travel together through the deep, turning darkness into direction.
Transparency becomes another way to disappear in the Pacific Abyss.
In this world, light can attract, warn, confuse, or conceal. Every flash in the deep Pacific may be a message written for survival. The abyss is not empty darkness. It is a slow ballet of fragile bodies. Every depth of the Pacific has its own rules, its own lights, and its own hidden lives.
Ahead, the Pacific Abyss grows stranger, and the hidden creatures become harder to imagine. The Pacific Abyss now becomes a place where darkness has depth, movement, and life. Some creatures of the deep Pacific have evolved to look through darkness itself. In the abyss, survival often begins with seeing what others cannot.
Some lives do not chase the ocean. They stand inside its current and wait.
In the deepest Pacific, patience becomes the rhythm of life.
Here, light can become a tool, a signal, and a trap. In a world without sunlight, even the smallest glow can change everything.
The Pacific Abyss survives through stillness, light, pressure, and astonishing adaptation.
Deeper along the Pacific Trench, the hidden world grows stranger still. The deepest walls of the Pacific Ocean preserve a history older than any storm above. Even without sunlight, the Pacific Ocean creates islands of life powered from within the earth.
Where heat escapes from the Earth, entire deep-sea communities gather. Life in the Pacific Abyss does not always depend on the sun. Sometimes it depends on the planet itself. Even the largest walkers of the abyss move with remarkable patience. Every movement on the abyssal floor is measured against immense pressure and endless time. Heat, darkness, and drifting life exist together in perfect balance. Camouflage remains one of the oldest survival strategies, even in complete darkness. The Pacific Ocean proves that life can flourish wherever energy can be found. Beyond the last hydrothermal light, the Pacific Ocean still guards mysteries waiting in absolute darkness. Beyond the vent fields, the Pacific Ocean enters a darkness that feels almost endless. Even the darkest walls of the Pacific hold lives adapted to pressure and silence. In the abyss, camouflage is not color alone, but shape, patience, and stillness.
Every movement here is slow because the deep Pacific wastes nothing.
What falls from above becomes a feast for those waiting below. The abyssal floor survives through patience, recycling, and the endless rain of the sea. Above the trench floor, hunters write their presence with light. The deep Pacific is a world where danger and beauty often share the same glow. Far beneath the Pacific storm, the abyss is not empty. It is a hidden system of survival. Deeper in the Pacific Trench, the hidden world grows quieter, stranger, and even more ancient. The deeper basin of the Pacific Ocean holds life so quiet it almost becomes part of the darkness. Here, survival is built from patience and the endless rain from the upper ocean. Even the smallest reach matters in the deep Pacific. Some creatures of the abyss move through darkness with unexpected grace. The deep sea rewards slow movement, careful energy, and perfect balance. In absolute darkness, a single glow can become a world. Light in the abyss is never wasted. Every pulse has a purpose. The Pacific Trench turns stone, darkness, and falling food into a living landscape. Far below the Pacific Superstorm, the abyss survives through quiet cooperation. The Pacific still descends, and every deeper corridor carries a mystery older than the storm. The Pacific Ocean continues descending into places where almost no sunlight has ever reached. Pressure has shaped even the simplest movement into remarkable efficiency.
Even the smallest inhabitants reshape the life surrounding the Pacific Trench. Some creatures of the Pacific become almost invisible, except for the light they choose to reveal.
Transparency becomes one of the greatest disguises in the deep sea.
The Pacific Ocean feeds countless lives simply by allowing the currents to flow. In the Pacific Abyss, even the most fragile life becomes part of the deep current. The deep Pacific turns stone and silence into a living foundation. What falls from the upper ocean becomes the daily bread of the abyss. Here, light can become both invitation and warning. Every glow in the deep Pacific changes the behavior of everything around it. In the abyss, a body can become a message written in light. The deep sea is not empty space, but a layered world of signals, patience, and pressure. On the trench ledge, life survives by wasting nothing and waiting well. Far